Ravens are only 2 games out of first place in the AFC North and are now favorites to win the division. John Harbaugh and Todd Monken were fired up after the game about these recent articles that have been put out. Tyler Huntley shared an awesome story about working out every day this offseason and finding another level in the lows, reaching out to Harbaugh for a chance like he got yesterday. We get more information about the recent injury report situation and the league investigation. We'll also take a look at some snap counts and some grades from yesterday's win over the Bears, all that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. I'm still riding the high of yesterday's win. It has been too long since I wanted to go back and watch the game. I was excited to go back and watch highlights and press conferences and just dive into all the reactions and everything. I've been kind of dreading a lot of that each week, but getting a win changes everything, man. Things feel a lot better right now. The hope's getting back, and we got a game in a few more days. We're going to get a lot of Ravens football this week. And after yesterday's win and the entire AFC North losing, the Ravens are only 2 games out of first place. They still have 10 games left. They still have 2 games against the Steelers, 2 games against the Bengals, another game against the Browns. They have 5 more in the division, and everything's right in front of them. They're actually the favorites to win the AFC North again after what happened yesterday. And if you look at the stretch of games coming up for Baltimore, it is not too difficult. We got the Dolphins Thursday. Then we play the Vikings in Week 10. We play the Browns in Week 11. The Jets in Week 12. The Bengals in Week 13. These are all winnable games. So things are looking up for once. And I don't think everything's just solved. You know, obviously the Bears aren't the best team. You know, I don't think they're equivalent to some of the playoff caliber teams that we were playing earlier in the season. So I'm not saying everything's just absolved. I still think we need to go out and make a trade before the deadline. But man, I loved what I saw from the coaches yesterday. I loved what I saw from the players, the fight they had. Tyler Huntley was massive. I mean, that was Tyler Huntley's best game as a pro, best game as a Raven. And he shared an awesome story in the press conference yesterday about working out this offseason after being released and trying to find another level to his game within the lows. I mean, he was hopping around to a couple teams. You know, that was a low for a guy like Tyler Huntley, who had a pretty good spot as the backup quarterback for Baltimore and then started team hopping. You know, he went to the Dolphins and then the Browns, and he was kind of hopping around into a bunch of different situations. Nothing really stuck. He wasn't having success anywhere. So he's in the offseason working out every day and just trying to take his game to another level. And I really think he did that. And he reached out to Harbaugh saying, hey, I want another chance to play for the best team in the world. And he got that chance yesterday and ran with it.
I'll say it was early in training camp, and then I got done working out hard, and I was just like, man, I would love to play for the best team in the National Football League again. So I just text Harz, and I was like, give me a call. I know you're in camp. Just give me a call when you got a chance. And he called me like right back. I didn't expect him to call right back. He was like, and we just went on and just talked, and you know, it was just like relationships last forever. So, you know, I was just grateful for that.
I used to grab random snacks throughout the day and just kind of eat whatever I wanted, but it always left me feeling sluggish. That was until I found Chomps, which is now my favorite snack in the game. I am literally obsessed with these beef sticks. I have one every single day. It is the perfect on-the-go snack. 10 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and they taste incredible. My personal favorite right now is the barbecue beef stick. Chomps comes in a bunch of pack sizes too. You can grab them online in 10 count or 24 count packs, or pick them up in stores as singles or 6 to 8 packs. If you've tried Chomps before, drop your favorite flavor in the comments. Love to know what you guys think. And if you haven't, check out the link in the description. Use code FLOCK and get 15% off plus free shipping. John Harbaugh and Todd Monken were fired up after the game. We didn't hear directly from Todd Monken, but there was a video posted by Hassan that really showed what Todd Monken felt about those articles that were being posted last week.
I'm their muscle.
Taking a lot of fucking flack. Fuck them motherfuckers. Let's go.
Yeah, Todd, I believe it.
It wasn't hard in the sense of all the outside noise. That wasn't relevant at all. I mean, anything that was said that's anonymously is like, it doesn't, it's like, it's not even, it's just noise. It's not even a real statement. It's not a real quote. If there's no name to it, it doesn't exist the way we look at it. And you talk about the game stuff was like a month ago. Nobody cared about that. And like I said, which the people that wrote it already know, They already know it came from the leadership players, but they haven't reported that yet. But that's where it came from. It came from the leadership players. It was a player's decision to do that. So that was nothing. I was kind of proud of it. When I heard about it like 2 weeks after it happened, I was like, good, great, cool. I haven't been in the locker room. I don't spend time in the locker room. So that's all nothing. That's nothing. What matters is a team that sticks together and fights. Even when the division, when the outside tries to divide you, that's okay. You got to stick together and you got to be a family. We're going to have our hands full on Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins down in Miami. And that's what we're going to be thinking about. Not going to be worried about some silly story that gets written, by unserious type of a report. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry about taking care of our business as best we can and sticking together. You guys agree with that? That's what we're going to contend with.
There's a lot of attention to that Baltimore Sun article and then the Baltimore Banner article that came out after. I really didn't even talk about that very much because I felt like the media was just piling on to the coaches, and maybe some players did voice their concerns and those anonymous players were accurately quoted and they may have had some concerns with Todd Monken or whatever. But the reality is, like I said last week, Todd Monken's not the biggest problem at all. And I don't know how anybody would see it that way. We have a way bigger issue on the offensive line and, getting pressure, which we did overcome a lot of those hurdles yesterday. Zach Orr called an incredible game and was able to generate pressure, but getting to the quarterback has been an issue throughout this season. Defense has been an issue throughout this season. Offensive line play has been a big issue. It's not just Todd Monken. There's some blame to go to Todd Monken, but I felt like the articles were just coming out of left field, just putting out hit pieces almost. And you could see Todd Monken's emotion about it. You could see John Harbaugh's emotion about it, how they're not looking at the noise. And if it's an anonymous quote, then it's irrelevant. Put your name behind it. And I agree. I mean, I get that maybe there's some reporters in the locker room and they catch a player saying something, but the player doesn't want their name behind it. It is irrelevant. It is just noise if somebody's not actually putting their name behind it and really saying something that they mean. So I don't know. I don't love the pay-to-read articles that are trying to get everybody to talk about it. And I've been very critical of the coaching too. I'm not saying that there is no criticism that should be tossed the coach's way, but it was getting aggressive towards Todd Monken, really. And I felt like that was just ridiculous, man. There were way bigger issues on this team than Todd Monken. And I'm glad that he kind of, voiced his opinion a little bit. I don't know if he expected that to get out, but I'm sure he doesn't really care. I kind of echo the same thoughts, man. And I love how much fire the coaches had yesterday and that trickled down to the players, man. The players played like their backs were against the wall, like the season was on the line. And that's what they had to do, man, because it's the reality. It was on the line. The season was on the line. You can't lose and go to 1-6, especially against a team like the Bears. I know the Bears won 4 straight. I'm not trying to discredit what they were doing, but that's one of the worst teams that we've played this season so far. The Ravens have had a gauntlet of a schedule. The Bears were one of the worst teams we've played, and we went in there and handled business. And the rest of our schedule is a lot of games like that. We don't have that difficult of a schedule. So the Ravens, if healthy, should just continue to handle business. We also got some more information on that Lamar Jackson injury report fiasco that happened over the weekend, which doesn't seem as big of a deal now. If we would have lost that game, it would have really felt like it was just an absolute clown show going on. But Harbaugh did talk about it and tried to clarify what happened and that it was an honest mistake.
I'm not involved in those rules. I don't know those particular rules, so that was probably, I think in their defense, he practiced a full practice. I think they felt like because he did the same number of reps, it was a full practice. But when you dig in and you read the rule, at the end of the day, it wasn't right. So that's what it was. That's why as soon as we found out, we changed it.
You said they. Who's they? Who makes that?
Yeah, that's in the training room and the PR on the other side. It's not in the football side.
John, do you expect
the medical side?
John, do you expect?
But it's an honest mistake. I mean, it really is an honest mistake. I can tell you this: nobody's trying to hide anything. I mean, there's no advantage. There's no advantage to be gained, with that. I mean, it was he practiced. His status was what it was. He was questionable. I do think if we'd have had the old status, maybe they would have said doubtful. Maybe, I don't know. But questionable or out. We weren't going to say out because he wasn't out, until Saturday when that conversation was had on the medical side.
Adam Schefter said this morning that the league is currently doing an investigation. They're going to interview multiple people within the Ravens, and they are expecting a heavy fine, but no loss of draft picks. So we'll just see what comes out of all that. It definitely was an error. I don't know what the intention behind it was. The team PR staff and the medical staff are the ones who are putting those injury reports together. So, I mean, I kind of do believe Harbaugh. I don't think Harbaugh was the direct one who was like, we need to list Lamar as full. He just kind of went with it, and he's like, oh, Lamar's questionable. Like, hopefully he can play, but probably not. He even admitted that he would probably be listed as doubtful if they still did doubtful. So I really don't think that it was some huge scandal or anything like that, but definitely a costly error. And they should have really understood the rule book, because the NFL rule book does state that if an expected starter like Lamar Jackson is not practicing with the starters and is practicing with the scout team, then he has to be listed as limited. And they thought that since Lamar actually practiced in the entire practice from start to finish, that they could put full, because he wasn't doing that the days prior. So it really was just a mistake, I think, and it's definitely going to cost some money, but we'll see how it all plays out. I really don't expect any loss of draft picks either. Taking a look at yesterday's snap counts from the game, nothing too surprising. I'm glad Keaton Mitchell got 7 snaps on offense. I think that he needs to continue to get more snaps. On defense, the trio of safeties played pretty much every snap across the board. Gilman played 98%. Hamilton played 100%. Malachi Starks played 92%. Mike Green got 83% of the snaps. Travis Jones, 71% of the snaps. Trenton Simpson wasn't out there a ton in this game, only had 10 snaps on defense. And then looking at some of the top PFF grades from the game, on defense, Roquan led the way with a 90.7. Great game from Roquan Smith. Marlon Humphrey, 71.6. Alohi Gilman, 70.3. Awuzie, 68.1. Nate Wiggins, 64.1. If Nate Wiggins didn't have some of those earlier struggles in the game with Adunze, he probably would have had a way higher grade, because Nate did play a good game. On offense, great grades from Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum, both in the 80s. Pat Ricard had a 74. Henry, 73. Mark Andrews, 72. Fa'alele, 70. Roger Rosengarten, 68.7. And then Voorhees with a 34.9 and Justice Hill with a 20.5. Voorhees has been pretty inconsistent this year, as has Fa'alele. I mean, Voorhees had one of his better games against the Rams a week and a half ago, and then now is having one of his worst games again. And there were multiple plays where he was just out of position. He's just not using his hands right. He's putting his hands on the outside. He's getting pushed back. He's losing leverage. And it's not that he's not strong. I've seen him be strong before. It's just, I don't understand why these linemen, it could be the coach, it could be the coaching. Warhop has not seemed to elevate these linemen. The line has regressed a little, and they seem to be not exactly knowing where to put their hands or the best way to go out there and block somebody. So I don't know why that consistently pops up, every other week, but it happens too often, and we still see some very inconsistent play from our guards. Hopefully Emory Jones Jr., who they did list as a guard on the injury report, can get a look at one of those spots and be an upgrade. We don't know. It's an unknown right now, but I'd love for us to find a solution to get some more consistent offensive line play, and if Emory's that guy, I'd like to see him in there as soon as possible. One guy who didn't get any snaps because he was another healthy scratch again is Jaire Alexander, which is wild. In week 8, not dealing with an injury, by the way. It's not like Jaire keeps aggravating his knee and he just can't stay healthy. He's been healthy. He just, for some reason, they don't trust him. And when they do activate him, they're not even putting him out there until later in the game. So he's coming in cold. He's not getting as many snaps. I don't get it. I don't really understand what's going on there. I know the tape hasn't been phenomenal with Jaire Alexander this year, but we haven't really seen him out there from the beginning. It is kind of hard to come in the second or third quarter and just go out there and dominate and be Jaire Alexander. It's like Jaire's been a superstar his whole life. He's used to being the number one corner from the start of the game. He's used to being Nate Wiggins for us. And now he's a healthy scratch and he's not even activated. It's a weird situation, but I definitely was expecting more from Jaire Alexander signing earlier in this offseason. Maybe we do get it at some point in this season, but it's looking less and less likely at this point to be halfway through the season, and he's still a healthy scratch. One guy who got an uptick in playing time and ran with it, though, is Keaton Mitchell, man. I talked about him in the game preview episode for a little bit yesterday, but I wanted to talk about it again because I was impressed, not really surprised. I mean, Keaton was doing that in the preseason. Keaton was doing that the last time he was on the field for the Ravens a few years ago. Keaton Mitchell's that guy. He is such a great change of pace back. He's so explosive. You're wearing down the defense with Derrick Henry, and then boom, Keaton's to the outside. It is tough to deal with. And you saw that in the Bears game, and Keaton got, some plays just designed for him. Harbaugh said that during the bye week, they sat down and they're like, we need to get Keaton involved. And I know the fans have been screaming for that all season. They're like, why wasn't Keaton involved from week 1? It does suck. I do wish Keaton was involved earlier, but I'm glad he's involved now. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep activating Keaton. He was great on the kick return. He was great with his limited snaps that he got on offense. He was basically averaging 11 yards per carry yesterday. Keep giving Keaton Mitchell the ball, and good things are going to happen. But that's it for today, guys. Just wanted to come on, go over some updates, talk about the game a little bit from yesterday. Going live with Noah again tonight at 7 o'clock. So hopefully see a lot of you guys there, and we can celebrate a win finally. It'll be fun. But appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the Flock Rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.